Welcome to Africa Unveiled. Ayinla, the legendary tales.
Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and also on the notification button for more interesting African folk tales. In the tranquil village of Ogundil, nestled between rustling palm trees and flowing streams, time moved slowly. The people lived simple lives, trading yams and goats, telling moonlight tales, and dancing at the sound of talking drums. The air smelt of roasted maize and palm oil. Yet, behind the peace, there lingered a silent longing. Many villagers dreamed of wealth beyond their cassava farms. Gold chains, city houses, cars with glass windows that rolled at the push of a button. They had heard stories of the city of Lagos, where men snapped fingers and dollars fell like rain. And so, when a man in a shiny caftan and pointed shoes arrived in Ogundil, riding a machine none had seen before, the villagers came out in awe. He introduced himself as Mr. MBE, a traveling merchant from the city with a secret to wealth. His voice was sweet like honey, his smile painted with gold. He claimed to know of a money tree called Cbex that doubles anything you plant under it. Mama Iridi, the oldest woman in the village, sat by her wooden stool as children gathered around her. She squinted at Mr. MBE from afar. Her hands trembled as she clutched her walking stick. She'd seen many rains, many seasons, and she knew the scent of deceit. "A tree that gives money?" she muttered. "That's not a blessing, it's a curse." But no one listened. The youth were buzzing. Chuka, a restless 22-year-old, had just returned from the nearby town after failing to get a job. He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Mr. MBE like a goat spotting cassava leaves. "You mean if I put 10,000 naira under the tree, I get 20,000 in 30 days? He asked eagerly. Mr. MBE laughed, a deep, rich sound, and nodded. "Yes, my boy. The Cbex tree rewards faith. The more you give, the more it gives back." By evening, the village square had turned into a makeshift banking hall. Mr. MBE pulled out a glossy poster with numbers and arrows, charts showing how Cbex had made villagers in distant places rich. He said a new wave was coming, and only the early birds would catch the worm. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and also on the notification button for more interesting African folk tales. People brought savings, borrowed money, even sold their heirlooms. Mama Iridi warned them again, but her voice was like wind brushing against a stubborn baobab. Mr. MBE promised to return in 30 days with everyone's reward. He even gave printed receipts, shining like city paper. As the sun dipped behind the hills, Chuka danced with his friends, dreaming of new sneakers and city girls. Mama Iridi sat alone, whispering, "When a deal sounds too sweet, check the tongue of the one selling it." In the nearby city of Ibadan, Mr. MBE sat in his hotel room, counting wads of naira with a crooked smile. He picked up his phone and called an unknown number. "Phase 1 complete," he said. "Cbex has taken root." A deep voice replied from the other end, "Good. Prepare for sex. This is just the beginning." And with that, the night swallowed the truth, as Ogundil slept with dreams filled with false promises and golden lies. 30 days later, the village square in Ogundil was filled with restless eyes and shaky hands. The promised day had arrived, and the villagers gathered as early as the crow's first cry. Chuka stood front and center, receipt in hand, his heart thumping. Mama Iridi sat under her almond tree, silently watching as tension painted the square in silence. Hours passed, no sign of Mr. MBE. Whispers turned to murmurs, murmurs to panic. Still, the people waited. By nightfall, a harsh truth began to creep into their hearts, though no one dared voice it yet. Mr. MBE did not return. Not that day. Not the next. In Ibadan, the city buzzed with a different tune. Mr. MBE, now calling himself Mr. Felix, launched a sleek new forex investment platform called Cbex. Unlike Cbex, this one came with a mobile app, user dashboards, and testimonies from successful investors who claimed they had earned millions overnight. It was modern, it was flashy, and it felt credible. University students began sharing referral codes like candy. Civil servants took loans to invest. Even banks and media houses unknowingly supported the movement, inviting Mr. Felix for interviews. The future of money is here, Billboards screamed across Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. Back in Ogundil, desperation set in. Fights broke out. Families split. The chief's hut was stormed by angry youth. Chuka, ashamed and broken, couldn't bear the weight. He left the village in silence, clutching his receipt like a dead dream. His journey to the city was fueled not by hope, but by a need to understand. Meanwhile, sex swept through every corner of the nation. States joined the frenzy. Churches declared it a blessing. Mosques preached it as divine breakthrough. From Sokoto to Calabar, Nigeria was consumed. Mr. Felix moved like a phantom, appearing at luxury events, disappearing before questions could catch him. Still, no one knew the truth. No one knew that Cbex and sex were born of the same deceit. No one suspected that the game had just begun. As Chuka arrived in Lagos broke and lost, he saw a new poster on a streetlight. WWN, the World Wealth Coin, your gateway to eternal riches. And standing beside the bold letters was a familiar face, now in designer shades and a black suit. Chuka squinted. His heart skipped. But this time, he said nothing. He would not rush. He would watch, learn, and wait. In the quiet of Lagos nights, the flickering streetlights glowed with posters of WWCN. A digital miracle, they called it. Invest 50,000 Nigerian Nairas. Earn 300,000 Nigerian Nairas in 2 weeks. No referrals needed. Blockchain certified. The poor saw salvation. The rich saw opportunity, and the desperate saw an escape. Nigeria was wounded, still licking its scars from Cbex and sex, but the promise of wealth is like a drug. It numbs reason. From village crossroads to city plazas, WWCN became a chant on every lip. Unemployed youth, tired pensioners, even pastors and imams. No one wanted to be left behind this time. The early bird gospel had been sung so loudly that hesitation now felt like a curse. In Ogundil, the wound from Cbex hadn't healed, but it scarred over with shame and silence. Then came a youth from a neighboring village of Oyoero, riding a commercial bike and shouting like a town crier. WWCN done change everything. No more delay. I just cash out 800,000 Nigerian Nairas from my phone. People gathered. Is it real? One asked. Realer than Cbex and PCX, he answered with a grin. The CEO is a woman this time. A prophetess. She says God gave her the vision. Mama Iridi, now Frylier, shook her head and whispered, only a snake wears 3 skins. But her warning once again melted into the noise of greedy hope. This time, even she feared they would eat her alive if she spoke too loud. The chief of Ogundil held a community meeting and declared, this is the last chance for our village to rise from poverty. The people cheered. Church offerings increased. Land was sold. People mortgaged their futures. They had lost before, but WWCN felt like redemption. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and also on the notification button for more interesting African folktales. Meanwhile, in Abuja, lawmakers began to murmur. The central bank issued a statement warning citizens of unlicensed cryptocurrencies, but it was ignored. WWCoin wasn't just a platform, it was a movement. They opened prayer centers called wealth hubs, held online revivals with so-called prophets who spoke in tongues of prophet. Mothers prayed over WWCoin accounts like children. Students dropped out of school to monitor the charts. Government workers used salary advances. Nigeria had lost its mind, and nobody knew who was behind it all. But one man was watching from the shadows. Chuka, now a cleaner in a downtown Lagos cafe. He swept floors by day and studied digital scams by night. His phone was filled with screenshots, links, and faces. WWCoin prophetess looked oddly familiar. Her voice, her diction. He traced her sermons. Used AI voice tools. Something clicked. He began to see connections between C.Bex, P.Sex, and WWCoin. The faces changed. The accents shifted. But the structure was the same. Circular. Sweet promises. Short-lived rewards. Total collapse. And across the nation, collapse was beginning again. It started in Osogbo, where a woman collapsed in the market after discovering her 500,000 Nigerian Naira's WW coin dashboard had vanished. Then in Enugu, where a pastor was stoned after telling his congregation God was testing their faith when the WW coin app failed to load. News spread like wildfire, delays and withdrawals, system upgrade, technical maintenance. Your account is under review. People panicked. Crowds flooded cyber cafes. Police stations were overwhelmed with complaints. But the founder, the prophetess, gone. As panic turned into riots, and riots into rage, a message appeared in Chuka's inbox. No name, just a phone number and a phrase. Look closer. All roads lead to one. He stared at the screen for minutes. The number bore a familiar code, one from the days of Cbex. With shaky hands, Chuka dialed it, and a voice answered, calm and chilling. Congratulations, Chuka. You're getting close. But are you ready for the truth? The number haunted Chuka like a shadow in daylight. After that chilling voice answered, silence followed. Then a text message. Come to Makoko. Ask for Baba Nuru's shed. No police. No lies. Or the story dies here. Makoko, the floating slum that sat like a stubborn spirit on Lagos waters. A place where hope sank daily and secrets floated with the tide. That night, Chuka boarded a canoe under moonlight. As he paddled, voices of desperation echoed across the water. WWZN must come back. My last savings. It's village people. The smell of smoked fish mixed with sweat and sin. At the edge of the stilted houses, he found Baba Nuru's shed, just wood, zinc, and prayer mats. Inside sat a blind man who smiled before Chuka spoke. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and also on the notification button for more interesting African folk tales. I knew you'd come, the man whispered. Now, let me explain the game to you. The real game, a chess match between Cbex, PCX, and Coin. Let me give you the full picture, not rumors, not guesses. The real story behind what is unfolding. Because what we're in right now is not just a pause and withdrawals. It is a carefully calculated game of power and survival between three major players, Cbex, PCX, and WW Coin. It all began with Cbex, the pioneer platform that brought us copy and paste trading with 1.76% daily returns. They quickly built a reputation for consistency, transparency, and solid performance. Everyone trusted them, and they became a giant in the market. Then came PCX, a new player with a bold offer, 2.2% daily interest plus another 2.2% bonus for referring new investors, making a mouth-watering 4.4% daily return. That move changed the game. People began moving funds. The appeal was too strong. But it did not stop there. Another competitor emerged, WW Coin, determined to dominate. Their offer? Up to 3.3% and 5.5% daily, depending on your plan. At that point, investors were spoiled for choice. Everyone was chasing the bigger bag. Funds were moving fast, and Cbex started feeling the heat. Still, they were not ready to back down. Cbex played their next card. They introduced auto trading hosting to eliminate the stress of copy-paste trading. It was brilliant. People who found manual entries hectic could now just switch on hosting and let the money work. It bought them back some loyalty. But it wasn't enough. Despite the automation, investors were still migrating to PCX and WW Coin. Because when it comes to investing, ease is great, but higher returns always win. That's when Cbex decided to increase their rate from 1.76% to 3.3%, trying to remain competitive. And when they noticed even that was not slowing down the shift, they made another strategic move. They began paying daily and weekly dividends just to keep up with the rising dominance of PCX and WW Coin. But PCX was not done either. They responded by investing heavily to launch their own auto trading system, just like Cbex did. It was a power move meant to pull back the audience that Cbex had just regained through hosting. Now, here's the twist. The very day PCX launched their automated trading was the exact day Cbex paused withdrawals. That was not a coincidence. It was a calculated move. CBX knew the moment PCX became fully automated, the game would shift again. So they made a play that would shake the entire table. And it worked. Because CBX is such a big player in the game, the moment they paused withdrawals, the ripple effect hit PCX and WW Coin. Even though trading never stopped on any of the platforms, the fear set in. Suddenly, all three platforms started experiencing withdrawal delays, and investor confidence became shaky across the board. But CBX was not hiding. The CEO came out publicly and confirmed that the pause was intentional. He called PCX and WW Coin imposters riding on the credibility and wave of CBX. And to cut their legs off, they paused, knowing that if confidence dropped in CBX, it would drop in the others too. And that's exactly what happened. Now, while withdrawals remain paused, CBX has clearly stated that withdrawals will resume on the 15th of April. Not hopefully, not we are working on it. They said it with full confidence. This was their plan all along. According to them, they've done it before, and they are ready to ride out the storm once again. In the meantime, PCX and WW Coin are holding on, sending regular updates to calm their users. Not because they're weak, but because they are waiting for the next move from CBX. Everyone is watching the board. Every player is holding their breath for what happens next. To top it off, PCX tried one more play to stay ahead, the anniversary signal bonus. They increased returns from 4.4% to 6.6% daily for those actively referring others. But here's the catch. Only the referrer benefits from the bonus, not the newcomer. It was yet another strategy to push people to invite and reinvest under themselves. And that brings us to now. This isn't just trading. This is warfare in the investment world. These platforms are not just competing. They are playing a ruthless game of chess, sacrificing pawns and pieces to gain control of the board. So now the question is, will you stay where you are and see how this plays out? Or will you jump to another platform that may be facing the same pressure behind the scenes? Kindly smash the subscribe button, and also on the notification button for more interesting African folktales. One thing is clear, these platforms love the competition and the control more than we love our capital. That's why we need to be wise. You've seen the pattern. The same serpent with 3 different names. Chuka's voice cracked. Who is he? The old man sighed. He wears 1,000 faces, but always walks with the same feet. Greed, desperation, false hope. Then he handed Chuka a dusty envelope. Inside were papers, signed documents, email printouts, matching payout wallets from CBX, PCX, and WWCN, all leading back to one master account. And just like that, the dots connected. In the heart of Ibadan, a school principal drank insecticide after investing 700,000 Nigerian nairas of the PDA funds into WWCN. In Benin City, an herbalist was beaten for swearing WWN was spiritually cleansed. In Jos, 2 churches shut down after their pastors, both early promoters of PCX, were declared wanted. The pain was no longer digital. It had become flesh. Families broke apart. Landlords evicted tenants who had promised to pay after WWCN matures. The central bank denied knowing anything. The police were overwhelmed. And still no face, no CEO, no office, just automated emails and a crashed website with 3 words. We are upgrading. Chuka went underground. He couldn't trust anyone, not the press, not the influencers, not even the victims. Too many were still hooked, still hoping for Phase 2 payouts. He traced the documents from Makoko to an estate in Lekki Phase 1. At the gate was a security man who had seen it all. They changed cars every day. Nigerians, Ghanaians, even whites. But they never used names. Just code numbers. Chuka posed as a cleaner and slipped inside. The house looked empty. But in a back room, he found what chilled his soul. Hard drives, piles of printed flyers, dozens of SIM cards, and photographs of hundreds of WWCN victims. It wasn't just a scam. It was art, an operation so meticulously evil, it required both intelligence and insanity. Then he saw it. A photo. CBX founder. PCX prophet. Coin CEO. All the same person. But the name wasn't on any list. No records, no passport, no trace. Just a single inscription on the back of the photo. A people with short memory will always feed the beast again. Meanwhile, in the villages, faith turned to fury. In Ogundil, young boys broke into the shrine and demanded the gods reveal the WWCON thief. The oracle replied with silence. In Abuja, a senator admitted on national TV that he too had invested and lost. The country wasn't divided by religion or tribe anymore. It was united in regret. And the man behind it all? He watched from a private jet en route to Cape Verde, smiling, watching the chaos on his tablet. The wind no longer sang through Ogundil. What once echoed with jubilant drums and chants of prosperity was now muted by grief, silence, and unspoken regrets. In the cities, chaos simmered like boiling oil. Cbex, PCX, WWN, they had all collapsed, swallowed into the same dark pit from which they rose. From Enugu to Ibadan, Kano to Warri, voices cried the same song. We have been deceived. And yet, no culprit was ever caught. No founder surfaced. No face matched the fraud. It was as if the platforms had risen from nowhere and returned to dust. And maybe that was the lesson all along. Chuka sat before his village compound, looking over the dusty fields. His YouTube channel now had thousands of followers, but he was no longer concerned with trends or views. That day, he held a chalk and wrote these words on the wall of the community school. What grows fast dies fast. What lasts long grows slow. A few curious villagers gathered. Mama Iridi's grandson asked, Uncle Chuka, does that mean all money is bad? He smiled. No, my son. It means quick money without roots is a lie. True wealth takes time, like farming, like building a house, like raising a child. It doesn't flash. It doesn't multiply overnight. It grows with sweat and patience. He pointed to a small mango tree growing beside the school. You see this? I planted it 3 years ago. Everyone mocked me. They said it wouldn't last. But today, its first fruits are coming. That is how success works. Across Nigeria, similar voices began to rise. Financial experts, teachers, and even pastors began to preach a different gospel. Not one of instant riches, but one of financial literacy, smart planning, and long-term vision. Slowly, programs began to emerge in schools. Rural cooperatives started savings plans. People began to track expenses, not miracles. Yes, the damage of the Ponzi wave was deep. Many were broken. Many were scarred. But just like a farmer who returns to his field after the locusts have passed, Nigerians began to rebuild with clearer eyes and tougher hands. And no one ever knew who was behind Cbex or WWCON. The names became myths, stories, warnings. They vanished like mist in morning light. But their memory lived on, because from that pain a new generation was born. A generation that understood that true wealth is not magic. It is mastery. Not instant. It is incremental. And not for the lazy, but for the wise, the patient, and the prepared. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and also on the notification button for more interesting African folktales.